Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Governance Committee meeting. All council officers. Remember, please switch off your mobile phones to silent. There are members of the public that's attending this meeting virtually. Can I please ask those attending virtually to switch off your mobile phone? Any disruption during the meeting. Reminder for councillors to ensure that those attending virtually can hear the proceeding, and for recording to capture the time meeting, please ensure that you project your voice and speak clearly. Please remember it's a formal meeting, therefore do not refer to each other by first name. Well, good evening, everyone, and item 1, apologies for absence. Item 2, to approve the correct record of minutes of the meeting on the 10th of January 2022. Item 3, item brought forward in the opinion of the chair to be considered by the meeting of matter. I have none. Item 4, interest. 5, to agree with the agenda to part A. Second. Part A, internal audit progress report, page 2020. Report by Devon Audit Partnership.
Yeah, so Paul Rivers from Devon Audit Partnership. So this is our standard progress update for you. You can see on page 17, as we discussed with you, insurance year 14 substantial, 13 reasonable before limited insurance reports at this stage of the year. We've most recently limited report next security. A summary of the 3 reports that are to will be run on state management, new finding on the asset and state management strategy of the council. Do that. Completing remaining work on the plan, just finalise an audit on risk management, so it's noting the progress that some of the officers are making on risk management, such as following down the number of corporate risks, which we will be discussing. Page 18 provides a copy of our insurance map. By pension ownership map, so the summary of key themes and so on is on page 25, and the extra diagram with and so on. So all of the sort of down these years to noting progress made. 19 just captures the good customer satisfaction terms that we get to our officers on our audits. So that's a brief counter through, so does it from the left, right down there. The second part.
Peter, can you hear?
Evening, Chair. We're finding it very difficult to follow the conversation at the moment. I'm not sure how clear we are.
Very clear. You are clear.
The only thing
But that's good. We're just struggling to hear you, our end. It's very quiet, crackly, poor signal.
We're just moving our tables a bit, is that right?
It's normally much better than this, so
What's this like? Is that any better?
perfect.
Yes, right. Okay, mate. We're moving a bit closer now then.
Thank you.
That's a song, isn't it?
I just wanted to work closer to the microphone.
I'll email it for us.
Yeah. So Paul, could I just ask then, if we go to page 27 on the agenda, the one that's in red, and it's equality and diversity.
Yeah, so that would relate to the compliance with the public sector equality duty. So obviously that's it's red because of legislation. But you have a sort of annual report on how we're meeting the equality requirements. As far as I'm aware, that's still red because it's not been met yet. But
Can I just ask the question? Does that mean that was from August 22?
that was when the audit was done. Yeah.
So we might have made progress.
Might have made progress, although I mean before. So this will go into our annual report. So before it's finalised annual report, we'll confirm with officers whether there's anything that they can say that they've done to green.
And then a quick update, yeah. So in terms of the community data, that's been posted on the website now. And basic staff information on farm staff and other things. It's a bit basic information. And looking at how
Can I just ask, is those parameters and what you can publish? Is it guidelines or is it mandatory?
it's mandatory that we have to post the information on. I think we've met that.
Which would, in essence, turn it from a red to an annual green. And we'll have a look at that.
Members, any more questions? I think there's quite a lot of work gone into this, and it's quite a lot of green, to be honest. So, you know, it's good work done by our council officers.
Hard to make. Yeah, I think just remember the context that all British children's map to us. When we first set out the first year, there was a lot more red on that and the first cover map put out. So the direction of travel between positive that we now have quite a few of those degrees. Still some work to do for some of that quality work, etc. If we address for the team. So hopefully we can turn that red to an annual green. Continue to work to make it stronger. But it reassures members that the travel will
It's always good to have the report, so you can inform the officers' work plans to see where they need to put their attention to make sure it's done.
And as I've said, so page 25, I suppose, tends to bring out some of the themes when you look down the page, in the different risk areas, such as performance management, strategy, and so on. That's attempt to summarise some of the things that the council might consider.
So that'll be for next back to council afternoon. So members, can we move to Norton report? Thank you for that report, Paul. And now we go still with Paul until charter and strategy, page 29 to 48.
Yeah, so this is the this is something we submit to you
every year. It's our internal audit charter and strategy. This is as per our professional standards, public sector internal audit standards. So it discusses the purpose, responsibility, role of internal audit and account and so on. Page I think it's 30 details the sort of different sections of the document. So there's a lot of detail in there, which I'm not intending to go through, but again, happy to take any questions that you may have.
I think this is standard. And so, just all to know that. Excellent. Thank you very much. Councillor and still, internal audit plan, pages 49 to 62.
Yeah, so this is the audit plan for next financial year. So obviously from April 2023, page 51 details how the plan was created. So based upon considering different risk areas in society and also affecting councils, the need for coverage across different council and business areas, and obviously need to follow up on previous work that we've done where we've identified weaknesses and so on, and obviously discussed and advised and agreed with senior management. So the actual draft report is on page 53. It does sort of show the 4-year view, although that's indicative. Obviously, we're focusing on the 2023-24 period, and again, it sort of provides sort of indicative days which audit, and these are indicative. And obviously, we'll spend more days if we need to, or indeed less days if it's fine and so on. So obviously, it's based on your agreement, but also you to want to highlight any specific areas that you want us to look at for the next financial year.
Yeah. Could we just for clarification on page 50? When you got limited opinion 22 and 23 there.
Yes, so that was where we provided a limited assurance opinion on debtors in this financial year, as in 22-23. So we're following it up again next financial year, although you'll see that we typically do work on debtors anyway. But that's just highlighting, and similarly on page 4, where we provided a limited opinion for the party diversity again against public. Best.
I mean, obviously, there's a new council moving forward. Like that council decide after we're going to move this and about the cycle going forward. And the big thing is obviously the cost of living crisis and how that affects the council and things like that. So is that in there? About the
Well, we do look at the some core stuff such as name counting, management, and so on. So
climate, will the climate and environment take into consideration about how the council can invest into low energy LED lights and stuff? Because we've done a bit of work that in the past, haven't we? That's the truth.
There is on page a design for that whole climate change. Sign up. Some progress on this. Some that will go. There are something to each. Some of it's obviously in the delivery of units. percentage of audits started or completed. Is that right? That just shows that the
Tony Rose has been very busy. I was commenting there, and Tony Rose's name on all these. Well, what council you are? I think.
the chair like audit management. It's,
Yes.
the,
So members, are we happy with that report and the audit plan going forward? Unanimous, thank you. Thank you very much, Paul, and Queen. Yes, indeed. But, thank you for all your hard work. Item 9, external audits, annual audit report, page 63 to 96. Who's taking this one, Andy or Peter? Peter Barber. Over to you.
Good evening, committee. Good evening, members. Can I just check you can hear me okay?
Hello.
Great. Yeah, Chair, I say I'm taking this, but I will hand over to Andy Nichols in a minute, my colleague. But just by way of introduction, this is the final element of our reporting responsibilities for 21-22. This is the external audit annual auditor's report, the second of these that you will have received. 2021 being the first year of the new NAO code for value for money. So this really does build on the report that we issued to you last year. And I'll hand over to Andy now, who will briefly talk through the detailed findings. So over to you, Andy.
Thanks, Pete, and thanks, Chair and members as well. So as Pete says, this is the second year reporting under the new VFM format, under which we provide a commentary under three themes: financial sustainability, governance, and improving economy efficiency and effectiveness, as opposed to the old regime where we provided a binary conclusion. It's worth saying, I think, right at the top, this is a pretty positive report. If you look, starting counterintuitive, Appendix C, you can see the three types of recommendations which are available for us to make. That's on page 93 of your papers. So in theory, it's open to auditors to make recommendations, statutory recommendations, when there are very substantial weaknesses in arrangements that we find. And we didn't make any of those. We can also make key recommendations where we identify significant weaknesses. And you know, we didn't make any of those as well. So the recommendations in this report are what we call improvement recommendations, which is when we've assessed that the arrangements that you have in place are adequate, but they could be built upon, and those recommendations are intended to be constructive and to build upon the good things that the council's already doing. So just turning then briefly back to the front page, so the executive summary, which is on page 62 and 63, you'll see typical is really amber equals good on this, I would say, from your perspective. So in financial sustainability, we didn't identify any significant weaknesses. We recognise that the council, as many other councils are, is facing increasingly difficult challenges in the financial context, and in 22-23, as the inflation came to bear, the council took a proactive approach to beginning to identify options to develop its medium-term savings, which we saw as a good thing. And in doing so, it enhanced its stakeholder consultation as well. Governance, and this is an area where we identified in the audit plan a slightly enhanced risk profile, and in particular, we looked at the council's decision to purchase the Green Lanes shopping centre. It was a pretty substantial purchase in the context of the council's finances. Now we reviewed the business case for that, and we thought the business case that the council developed was fit for its intended purpose. But we did identify that moving forward, if there were any similar decisions in the future, that decision making could be enhanced with a fuller assessment and what I'll call a value for money assessment, or sometimes called the economic assessment. And the best practice in business case development is to look at the financials in that kind of decision from two different perspectives, if you like. One that an accountant would use, which is what we call the financial assessment or the affordability assessment, which was all present and correct. but on review considered that the what we call the economic assessment, the value for money assessment, could have been slightly more fulsome, in particularly considering the costs and benefits of the investment over the full life cycle, and considering the capital investment, and that's something that can be done with regard to the green lanes, moving forward as the council develops its strategy, and also in any future decisions. But it doesn't represent a significant weakness. As I say, it's something where the council's processes, could be improved going forwards to make them even more informed decision making. And in terms of improving the 3 E's, just to highlight that the council has ongoing a review of its performance measurement and arrangements in terms of presenting KPIs to cabinet, to council. So in this case, there's already a review ongoing, which is very positive and is brigading those reporting under the programme structure that and Needle Lakes Programme Office, which is a positive development and response to a recommendation that we made the prior year, that those areas, the KPIs could be a bit clearer. So that's just a few highlights from the report. I'll pause there and very happy to take any questions that the committee has.
Only I think that it's a good job the council did buy Green Lanes, because obviously it's providing some income into the authority, which is really good. But I do get where you're coming from for the value for money. But it was a good decision taken by a council in that if it wasn't, we wouldn't have had the surplus which produced this year, Mr. Triggs of.
21-22 year, we achieved around £250,000 additional surplus into the budget, and it's around 350,000 this year. But I think Andy's completely right. I say we accept the improvement recommendations that have been made. That we obviously brought the business case, and obviously it had financial benefits, and obviously we had a strategy for the sort of short term around in terms of continuing the provision in terms of retail. It's having that much longer term look and the economic benefits that obviously come on the back of that. So I say we welcome the improvement recommendation, and we'll continue that with the team, and any future investments that come forwards, we'll make sure that's built into our assessment.
I think one of the challenges going forward, Andy, is the fact that on the 3 areas, the financial sustainability, with the lack of funding coming down from central government at the moment to councils like ours, it's going to be a struggle, and therefore it's going to be forcing a lot of councils to go down the commercialisation strategy route into seeing how they can bring additional income in to our communities, so that we can maintain our frontline services such as waste and recycling collections, which is a statutory function which we have to perform, and obviously delivered on the housing side of things for people who are struggling to get homes and stuff. So it is a thing that I think Peter Barber mentioned with the other work that you're doing around other councils as well. It's going to be a bit of a struggle going forward. But over in all, in this report, if there's no questions from others, I think it says that we've got no significant weaknesses in arrangements identified, and obviously there's recommendations where we can improve in all 3 areas, which we can work on going forward. Is that an honest assessment?
Absolutely fair from my perspective. Yep.
Chair, sorry to interrupt, Chair. Just just picking up very briefly on that point you've just raised. You're absolutely right, Chair, and we've discussed this at previous meetings. But I suppose my reflection on this is that many years ago, before austerity, councils were encouraged to be risk adverse, and if you did have any balances and reserves, they would invariably be held in low paying cash balances in banks. Councils now, given continued austerity, ever increasing unit costs, Andy mentioned the utilities, ever increasing expectations of the public that become even more when individuals are struggling. Councils can no longer be risk averse. They just need to be risk aware, and they need to take an informed risk, and they need to diversify in terms of income, but they also need to make savings. And Green Lanes is a really good example where you are actually looking to generate new income streams in an informed way. And my reflection is that as long as you're doing that from a informed perspective, there's a proper business case, there's proper consideration of risk and reward, and there is a proper option appraisal about what the alternatives are. If that decision-making process works effectively, that is the way that councils need to operate to maintain a balanced budget into the medium term. And that is a good early evidence of that progression.
Yeah, I take that point on board. I'm sure everyone else does. Very good report. Thanks for doing this. And can I just ask then councillors to note the report, please? Yeah, Councillor Phillips, Councillor Campbell, all in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much for that one, Peter and Andy. And as I quickly turn over to my agenda items, we are still with you, Peter, External Audit Progress Report, pages 97 to 104.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So I'll take this report as read. It's just a position statement in terms of where we are on the audit. And as Andy said, and as I said in the introduction for the previous item, the auditor's annual report is the last part of our responsibilities for 21-22. So our attention now moves to 22-23. Planning is underway. That's recently started, recognising audit is a retrospective exercise. So we've had the planning setup meeting. Planning work is in progress, and we will be looking to hopefully bring a audit plan setting out our approach to discharging our responsibilities for 22-23 to a later meeting of this committee. Clearly, once again, we are firming up resources and arrangements in terms of delivery of the opinion. We will look, subject to resource capacity, to make as early a start as possible on the 22-23 audit once we receive the draft accounts. The deadline for production of the accounts has been brought forward this year to the end of May. I suspect that very few audits nationally will start anywhere near that deadline, recognising that Grant Thornton, like most firms in the external audit arena for local government, also have NHS clients, and they finish at the end of June. So the earliest starts will be in July, but I suspect that it will be staggered throughout the latter part of the year. But once again, we do know that you have a strong record of effective close down, and you will be one of our priority audits. And VFM, once again, we will be looking to resource up from our VFM team and build on the work that Andy and the team have done for this year. So we are where we want to be at the moment. There are a few bits of resource that we need to clarify and engage with officers, but we are where we want to be. And work is underway for 22-23. So I'm hoping that the report is self-explanatory, but I'm happy to take any questions on the detail.
Any questions? No, only for clarification, Peter. Can you remember this last year? We were one of the first councils to complete in the top percentile in the country, you were saying? Is that for something, was it for the top, we were about 10% or something like that, wasn't it? That was completed. One of the first.
You were signed on from recollection the 30th of November, which was the deadline, and 12% of councils from recollection met that 30th of November deadline. So you were only 1 in 8 achieved that deadline. The deadline has been brought forward this year, which is helpful, to the end of September.
I'm checking that's facetious. Obviously, you're going to get some more auditors working for you between now and then. But no, fantastic. Thank you for that. So, members, can we move to note? Thank you, Councillor Phillip, Councillor Campbell, Councillor Walker, all in favour. Thank you very much, Peter, and thank you very much, Andy.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Item 11, review of committee's terms of references, pages 105 to 112. Report by Senior Solicitor and Monitoring Officer.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, councillors. I'm having looked through the terms of reference. Last year, the governance committee agreed to that they were fine as was, but on review, I've more recently, while I think they are fine as they are, it was just in relation to the standards function that I thought that it was a bit unclear as to, perhaps members of the committee plus members of the public and officers in terms of what the governance committee does. So previously there was an ethics committee that was separate as you'll be aware, which joined up with the audit committee to make the governance committee. So currently it says standards function. The governance committee has the delegated powers to deal with the standards function, including dealing with complaints regarding councillor conduct and the imposition of sanctions, which is sort of fine, but I think that I've expanded on that quite substantially to include standards function, including 1, to promote and maintain high standards of conduct by members and co-opted members of the council. 2, to make recommendations to the council on the adoption and revision of a local code of conduct for members and co-opted members, and to monitor and review its operation. 3, to make recommendations to the council on the adoption and revision of a code of conduct for officers of the council. 4, to approve guidance and protocols to supplement the code of conduct for members and co-opted members. 5, to approve arrangements for dealing with written allegations of failure to comply with the code of conduct by council, parish or town council members or co-opted members. 6, to approve training and assistance for members and co-opted members in conduct matters, and to approve arrangements for advice to individuals on the treatment, interest and on conduct generally. And 7, to grant dispensations to council members to allow them to speak on, participate in the discussion of, and or participate in a vote on matters in which they have an interest, and to approve arrangements for dispensations generally. This just really kind of sets out what it means to deal with standards, and I just think it's a bit clearer for both the governance committee and the public in terms of what it is that the governance committee does as regards ethics and standards. So my recommendation is that the governance committee recommends to full council that Annex 1 to Part 3 of the Constitution is updated to amend that.
Yeah. Councillor Walker, you wanted to move that recommendation?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Councillor Phillips, second? Yes. Councillor Campbell, okay? Yeah. So we approve that recommendation?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
And Chair, if I may say so, it is a lot clearer. Thank you very much indeed.
No, thanks, Ian.
And that's from a solicitor.
Okay, yeah.
So, we don't fear support.
Bills and post.
Item 12, half-yearly report from the chair of the governance committee. You've got that from to your members.
Yes.
You want to move it, Mr. Campbell, Councillor Campbell?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Seconded, Councillor Walker. All in favour? Thank you very much. Item 13. Update report on the conduct of fraud investigations, pages 121 to 122. Report by senior solicitor and monitoring officer attached. Simon.
Thank you again, Chair. So this is quite a straightforward one, really. As your governance committee on the 8th of June 2021 agreed as part of the procedure for the conduct of the investigation report, anti-fraud, corruption and bribery policy and strategy, that periodic reports will be presented to SMT and members in terms of incidents of fraudulent activity. So that's in March and September each year. But there are no updates to be made because there have been no incidents that have been reported to me as monitoring officer.
Right, thank you very much. We move that, we know what that one, please. Councillor Walker, seconded, Councillor Phillips, all in favour? Thank you very much. Thank you, Simon. Item 14, audit recommendation tracker. report by the invisible, obviously the deputy chief executive.
Thank you, Chair, and members. Yet in the absence of Chief Executive, I'll take this report for you. This is your normal audit recommendation tracker. The report sets out on page 123 the different appendices that normally come to you in terms of those live audits, those that have completed recommendations, the outstanding recommendations, those that are overdue, and also those in the annual governance statement. So Appendix A just summarises the number of audits that were still had some outstanding, were in progress and still had some outstanding recommendations, even those that had some low risk ones as well. Appendix B just sets out those that have been completed since the last governance committee, quite a significant number being set out in Appendix B with those completion dates. Appendix C sets out the outstanding recommendations with some time extension requests. You'll see on Appendix C there are 13 in total, so quite a significant number. However, 9 of those have only got short extension request dates up until June of this year, so only a couple of months extension required. You'll see on the progress bar, quite a number of them have sort of progress of 75, 85%, so almost there, but we just need to get those over the line by June. So 9 of those 13 recommendations for extensions are either in the months of March, April, May and June, so actually over the next 2 to 3 months. The remaining 4 have date extension requests for 2023, 3 for August and 1 slightly later in December, which was around business continuity, where you had an update previously from the team. That audit is 70% complete, but again, due to some work that's still outstanding, we need to request a date extension to December on that one. 3 of the audits for August. 2 of them are ICT ones that have 80% complete so far, and the HR recommendation that's 75% complete. So again, we're quite a significant way through those, but again, just a short extension to August to get those completed. So, Chair, I'm happy to run through them individually if you want me to, if there's any questions from members. But just to reassure members to say of those 13, 9 of them are only short dated extensions until over the next couple of months to get those completed. And then finally, you've got no outstanding recommendations, no outstanding in Appendix D of any overdue actions. That's because obviously officers have come forward with short dated extensions. And then in Appendix E, which starts on page 145, this just sets out those audit recommendations and the annual governance statements. Quite a significant number of them, as you can see, are 100% complete. There are 1 or 2 that have some progress that still obviously have some work to do, but those due dates aren't due yet. Some of them are June 23, some are July 23 and September 23. So those that are still in progress and aren't 100% complete, the reason behind that is because those due dates have been set for later within 2023. So, Chair, I'm happy to take any questions on any of the outstanding audit recommendations that have got date extensions. If not, then I'll refer you to the recommendations in the covering report, Chair.
Yeah, so can you just explain recommendation 2.2? We're using the Pentana system.
Yes, Chair. In terms of what the Pentana system is, so the Pentana system is the performance management system that all of our audit recommendations get loaded onto. It used to be called Covalence. Probably don't understand what the Covalence system is either. So it's in layman's terms, it is a performance management system where we have all of our service plan actions, all of our audit recommendations are loaded onto there, so we can then report against progress. There's a progress bar, so officers and managers can go in and do updated notes and also move the progress bar along to show that progress is being made on those audit recommendations. And then the report that comes to your committee here is an extract from that system to give you then that overview on those due dates that are due for you.
Thank you.
Councillor Phillips.
Thank you, Chair. Given the unprecedented problems that everybody has faced over the last 4 years, I think a tremendous amount of progress has been made, and the number of requests for extensions coming has gone down considerably. I think, therefore, that the officers ought to be congratulated on moving forward as much as they can, as quickly as they can, given the period in which we've had COVID and a lot of resources were diverted away from what normally would have been used in ordinary council matters. So I think that we should actually note the fact that tremendous progress has been made, and I think things are far more fluid, and that as far as I can see, when a request is made for an extension, it is a legitimate request, and people are working as hard as they can.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. I'll report that back to the team, so they will be very appreciative of that.
Councillor Walker?
Yeah, just echoing the same, that compared to what we had 4 years ago with the time, the amount of time for extensions being asked for, it's a great improvement, and that's down to the hard work of the team.
Thank you, Councillor.
And I think it's also a credit to Paul Middlemass and his internal auditing skills for highlighting some of these issues so that we can bring them up onto this, onto the tracker too, you know. I don't think Tony Rose is here for that, but you know, is there, so members, can we then, is there any more questions? You move that recommendation set out in 2.1, 2.2. No. Seconded, yeah, all in favour, unanimous, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Triggs. Item 15, work programme 23 to 24, pages 151 to 154, consider work programme attack. So this is what we look at every year, to look at the work programme. There's a couple of points in red there, Mr. Triggs, on page 152, but obviously they're dates to be confirmed. On the governance arrangements and the quarterly update on planning processing times.
So, Chair, I was just going to say that was me.
All right, okay, so.
I'll take the break, Chair, I don't mind.
I was just going to say I created the work programme based on last year's.
Yeah.
And those were the ones I wouldn't know enough to confirm whether those dates fitted in with the rest of the team. So that was me giving you basically a start.
So can I just ask, is Peter Barber still there, or is he making himself a drink?
Still here, Chair.
Yeah, on this item, Mr. Barber, we've got external audit fee letter, and we've got it under the 13th of June 2023. Is that the correct date that we should have it in for the meeting or not?
Yeah, so we don't really do those anymore, so they're normally covered within the plan. But sorry, Chair, what date was that again?
It was the governance meeting on the 13th of June this year.
Yeah, I mean, that would probably be when we would be bringing the plan, so that would make sense.
Yeah,
but it would be the audit plan.
The letter.
I would call it the 22-23 audit plan, which will detail, amongst other things, the fees.
Audit plan.
Yeah, if I can just interject. So just down from that item on the work programme, you've got an external audit plan item due on the 13th of June. So I think what Peter's saying is that will incorporate as part of that plan report. The line you've got for the fee letter can actually come out because the plan will include the fee that Peter will put forward.
That's good, so we can take that out and that's already covered. Members of I don't see.
So it's on page 152, the one you referred to in red, the update on governance arrangements.
Yeah.
So I think it was your last meeting that we brought the summary of the governance arrangements. We did a survey to members and brought that to your last meeting, which was the January meeting, I think it would have been.
It did.
It would have been the January meeting. So I don't know whether you would want an updated report at the June meeting on that, because we've only just recently done that. So because obviously you're going to have potentially new members coming in.
Can we move that to January next year? That's what January 24.
Either the January meeting 24 or the March meeting 24.
That's like March would be better because we give them a full year.
Yeah.
And they'll be in the first 12 months of their cycle still, won't they? So yeah, March. Are members okay moving that to March? Yeah. And the next one down, quarterly update on planning processing times. Is that the quarter when it's due then? Is that the one that we got?
That was where the
Jeremy Mann and Tracy.
Yeah. we need to go back to the minute just to confirm what was agreed. Was it a report to come each quarter, or was it just information from members?
I think it was to come through to this committee quarterly, whether that was a verbal update or an actual, I don't know, but that was,
Yeah.
If it's quarterly, the chair, we can build those into those quarterly meetings. So again,
I think you've got a good idea. It is across the whole country getting, awareness.
so again, Jay, you might want to build that into your, because you've got a meeting in June, September, then November, January, March. So
all but January.
build that into, because I suppose you, depends on what quarter you're looking at, because you might want quarter one processing times, which cover April, May and June. You might want that to come then to your September meeting. But again, you can have the last quarter coming to the June meeting. So if you have, there's probably more quarterly if you go September, November.
And avoid the November one.
Put it in June. Put it in June. Right, members, can we, are we okay with the work plan? Everybody in favour? Yeah, unanimous. I mean, the new councillors can decide, the new committee can decide, if that's right. It's a bit of one of those meetings now, we're starting to cycle. By the way, we will still be coming as members of the public to hold you to account. You're increasing public participation, we've got 100% if one person turns up, so now is item 16, which is exclusion of the public and press and restrictions of documents. Can we move into part B, please? Seconded, all in favour? Right, let's wait one, please.
Stop recording.